African Americans in Hawaii, Part 3. Territory of Hawaii: Political and Military Contributions. Charles A. Cottrell, an attorney, arrived in Honolulu with his wife and son in 1911. He was appointed by President Taft and confirmed by Congress to be the tax collector, Internal Revenue Service, for the territory of Hawaii. A distinguished, well-educated black man, Cottrell was interested in Republican politics and was welcomed by Hawaii's Big Five corporations. They invited him to join several prestigious clubs and organizations. His son attended Punahou School, a private institution established by missionaries. No Smith, politician, statesman and businessman, moved his family to Hawaii in 1915. He was the first African American to be superintendent for the Matson Navigation Company's docks, first assistant director of the Hawaii Territorial Bureau of the Budget, and in 1920, the first African American governor of the Lions Club's International, 50th District. Smith owned the first African American construction company in Honolulu, which was involved in building the Paley tunnels through the Ko'olau mountain range to the windward side of Oahu. Ava Jones Smith, a classical pianist, met Noel Smith in San Francisco before he came to Hawaii. They were married in the Hawaiian Islands. Ava accepted the organist position at St. Peter's Church on 4th Street Mall. She also conducted an experimental kindergarten class at Kalahiwaina Elementary, the forerunner of kindergartens in the Hawaii public school system. The Noel Smith family represents a diverse ethnic mixture of many people living in Hawaii. This family has embraced the host culture and its traditions and lifestyle. Today ethnic groups have added elements of their own cultures to local life. Melissa B. Smith was the mother of Noel Smith. She found her new home an exciting place to live and immersed herself in the Hawaiian culture. Smith loved learning and cooking local foods for her family. Her culturally distinct neighbors were delighted to share their foods with the Smith family. Today there are 4 generations of Smith descendants living in the Hawaiian Islands. Hiram Fong graduated in 1924 from McKinley High School in Honolulu with Noel Smith's brother, Donald. Donald asked Noel to help his friend Hiram, later a U.S. Senator from Hawaii, find a job, as he needed money for college. Noel found employment for Hiram and arranged with his business colleagues to give money to assist with his 2 years of college at the University of Hawaii before he went to Harvard. Lieutenant Clarence Ward found the people of Hawaii very cordial and welcoming. In 1915, Company E of the 25th Infantry Regiment was sent to the Big Island, Hawaii, to build a trail to the summit of Mauna Loa and cabins for researchers who were to study the volcano. Later the observatory was built. Sergeant E. P. Moss was assigned to the 25th Infantry Regiment and came to Hawaii in 1913. The presence of thousands of black soldiers on Oahu was impressive, and local people welcomed them into their community. The regiment was known in Honolulu for its outstanding baseball team and American-style boxing matches. Colonel Chauncey M. Hooper was commanding officer of the 369th Coast Artillery, an African-American regiment in 1943. His corps of New Yorkers called themselves Hooper's Troopers in Hawaii. Undersecretary Robert A. Patterson congratulated Colonel Hooper for his unit's outstanding performance during his field visit to Oahu in 1943. Thomas "Tom" Johnson served in the Army USO in Hawaii during World War II. He established and directed the USO Rainbow Club in Honolulu, which served African American servicemen. Tom was also overseer of all the USO clubs for African American servicemen. His staff consisted of local volunteer women from all ethnic groups. After the war, Johnson continued his education, earning a doctorate in 1967. African Americans from various military units throughout the islands discussed the Negro problem during a meeting at the USO War Workers Club in Honolulu in the 1940s. Tom Johnson, Director of Special Services, is presiding. Thousands of black men were sent to Hawaii during World War on military installations. Black enlisted men were not allowed to socialize with white enlisted men in recreational facilities, thus Johnson established the USO Rainbow Club for black men. USO volunteer hostesses socialize with African American enlisted men. During the war years, the USO Club's staff and volunteers were ethnically diverse local women. The atmosphere in these clubs was without strife and incidents. The 25th Infantry Regiment came to Hawaii in 1913. In downtown Honolulu, hundreds of African American men are parading past the Iolani Palace. Everywhere crowds of spectators cheered. People admired their musical band and precision marching information. The color guard was invited to serve at Liliuokalani's funeral. Over 1.2 million African Americans served in World War II. Helene Hale, a state representative from the island of Hawaii, is with her colleagues at the state capitol in Honolulu. A politician and teacher, Hale was the first African American to become mayor of Hilo in the 1960s. She was instrumental, along with the late George Knopp, in establishing the Merry Monarch Festival, which brings tourists from all around the world to Hilo. John Penbacker is sworn into office as a Hawaii State School Board member. He is a graduate of the University of Hawaii and a member of the university's Fabulous Five basketball team. Penbacker has been involved in political issues for many years. He lives on the windward side of Oahu with his wife and children. The late Mayor Frank Fassi is shown with Alonzo DeMello and his daughter Lolita, in 1969. Fassi appointed DeMello to the Children and Youth Commission because of his work with adolescents in the Family Court and Ko'olau Correctional Center. DeMello has a soft spot in his heart for young people and always reaches out to them wherever he is in the world. Clinton King, a minister, was the first African American to seek the U.S. presidency by filing papers in the lieutenant governor's office in the state capitol in Honolulu. Ernest Golden, the state chairman of the Afro-American Unity Party, is holding the petitions. It is interesting to know that, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, blacks are active participants in the democratic process. Dr. William Waddell was the first African American veterinarian to graduate and pass the Pennsylvania State Board of Veterinary Medicine exam in 1935. Dr. Waddell was a co-founder of the School of Veterinary Medicine at Tuskegee Institute, now Tuskegee University. He moved to Honolulu with his wife, Lottie Young Waddell, after his retirement. Waddell authored many books describing his profession and life experiences. Dr. Waddell was also a Buffalo soldier and an active spokesman for the organization, addressing military audiences until his death. Educator and politician Charles Campbell was the first African American to serve on the Honolulu City Council. Campbell was the local inventor of sign waving, a tradition that has become a ubiquitous part of election season in Hawaii. Campbell taught social studies at Farrington High School in Honolulu, where he encouraged his students to become involved in government. Campbell was also the first black to serve as a Hawaii state senator. Leonard Lucas was assigned to the 25th Infantry Regiment and was sent to Hawaii in 1913. Lucas was part of the E Company that was sent to build the Mauna Loa Trail and Red Cabin for scientists to study the volcano. The cabin remains today as a monument to those black soldiers who built the 18-mile trail up the rugged and hostile mountain in 3 months. During World War II, African American enlisted men often served as laborers. Their jobs were to load supplies on ships in preparation for the invasion against the Japanese in the Mariana Islands. Despite the hardships and second-class status of black soldiers, their role was important in every aspect of strategic planning to win the war. The West Loch disaster at Pearl Harbor on May 21, 1944, was a major maritime accident. Hundreds of sailors, Marines, and soldiers were killed. More than half who perished were young African American enlisted men. Those who survived were sent to the Mariana Islands, where they demonstrated their bravery, loyalty, and ability to support frontline troops. Oftentimes, they accomplished tasks without proper training. The West Lock explosion at Pearl Harbor was classified as top secret until 1960, and the men who died were nearly forgotten. After 66 years, the long overdue recognition of these men was celebrated for the first time on May 21, 2010. African American enlisted men's participation in World War II made significant contributions. Most black units in the Pacific were employed as service troops, but they also performed non-combat activities. Poor communication and lack of rapport with white officers often hampered their accomplishments and effectiveness. Nonetheless, their dedication and commitment to America's war efforts was unquestionable.